And the cold continues to hamper the search for victims of that fire at a seniors' home in Quebec. Authorities in Verte now confirm they have recovered 14 bodies from beneath the thick ice. 18 others are still missing. Our Jennifer Tryon is there again tonight with the search and how the community is trying to cope. Jen?
Donna, investigators are about halfway there. They've made it through 40% of the rubble. That's no small feat in the icy conditions as the town of Verte struggles to get back to normal. For the first time since the fire, the children of Verte are returning to school. Many parents struggling to tell their kids about how and why so many of the town's grandparents have died. I have friends that lost their grandparents, this 10-year-old said. It's going to be hardest for them. She had to sleep with her daughter on the first night, too scared to be by herself. Just 2 weeks ago, these students were singing for the seniors at Résidence du Havre. After all, they are neighbors, the school just a stone's throw from the scene. It's also the police command center.
We've talked a lot about it. At some point there was maybe we should take the kids somewhere else to another school, but we think it's best that they stay here.
A familiar routine is good for healing.
They want to get back to normal.
The whole town does. Fatigue is setting in. For 5 days, media, police, and emergency personnel have taken over the heart of town, and the investigation has been slow. That yellow tent on the right, that's a makeshift sauna erected to melt the ice, covering the rubble and the remaining victims. The blaze was so big, it took a massive amount of water to get it out, leaving the rubble covered in a thick ice. Steamers are working around the clock in tents to melt it, preserving the scene for investigators and the integrity of the victims' remains. There are still questions about how the fire started and how the response was handled. Verte relies only on volunteer firefighters. Many victims died on their balconies. Local fire trucks had no ladders. Meanwhile, 20 minutes away in Rivière-du-Loup, the fire department, with a full cavalry of equipment, including a 100-foot ladder and 45 full-time firefighters, sat idle. They were never called. No. He says they wouldn't have made a difference. The part of the building with no sprinklers was nearly destroyed within minutes. The provincial government has been slow to implement new regulations mandating sprinklers in all private residence homes.
If it would have been simple, it would have been done. But it's a complex problem. We are still working very hard on this, and I think the strategy of Verte will probably accelerate the work.
The provincial government has been trying to find a way to retrofit all of the old buildings, but now a much higher price has been paid for not doing so much earlier. Donna.
All right, Jen Tryon in Verte, Quebec, thanks.